Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Skull Session Recruiting Podcast. Signing day, spectacular 2024 recruiting capsules, class 2024 signing today. We're updating with, 10 minutes or so on each prospect who signs, kind of breaking down their game, what they mean to the program, taking maybe a little bit of an outlook at the position within the program right now, and where things are all going to kind of fit together here. This will be one of our probably most watched ones. Not going to lie. This will be one I think people are most excited about. Despite some very late, very stressful drama for the Ohio State coaching staff, 5-star defensive end Edric Houston has signed with the Buckeyes. One of the top players in the country, Buford High School, just outside of Atlanta, big-time powerhouse. That huge rush of sound you heard, I think, was just the Ohio State coaching staff exhaling. This got very, very tight down the stretch. Alabama and Clemson both got late visits. These were not visits that Ohio State was unaware of, but they certainly were nervous about. Anytime your defensive kind of crown jewel of the class is out there looking around in the last weekend of the recruiting calendar is not an easy feeling to go through. So Ohio State coaches are very relieved right now. I'm sure Ohio State fans are very relieved right now. Kevin, we've talked about this one before, but it's like how big is this? This ranks really high for me. I'm not a guy who, again, every kid is like 1/25th of a recruiting class. So one guy, no matter how good he is, no matter how much you may want him to be a Buckeye, no matter whatever, one guy generally is not going to make or break your recruiting class, is not going to have a massive impact on the future of your program. It's more about the whole collective of talent that you get on signing day. This one felt a little different. This felt a little almost Terrell Pryor-esque in terms of what do they do if they don't get this guy at defensive end? What do they do at this position if they don't get Edric Houston?
Yeah, we talked about it on a Tuesday update piece that we did, and just the importance here. I'm going to break the fourth wall because we're recording all these in mass, and we don't know the order that these kids are going to commit. But you sit there and you look at defensive line recruiting, and they really did not hit at all on defensive line. Now, we could sit there and have a little bit of a revisionist history if some things go the right way, but there's no way they're going to hit their number. And with a talent on somebody like Edric Houston, you can't afford to miss out there. Now, I'm not saying he's Chase Young or anything along those lines. Chase Young is Chase Young. They're not, these guys just do not materialize. But Edric Houston is a talented player at a position of need. I mean, we sit there and we look at where the NFL dollars are, and it's quarterback, offensive tackle, and edge. And, so there's obviously a huge demand for players that can do the things that Edric Houston does. And that's why everybody did not stop recruiting Houston at the end, and why Ohio State had to go full matrix and dodging bullets to be able to get the signature, which it did finally land, and the fax machine. I can't believe that we've recorded about 15 of these, and this is my first fax joke that I've made. Now, if he commits early, people aren't going to understand the joke, but this is very important. This is a huge get for Ohio State for so many reasons, and I absolutely see your Terrell Pryor type of comparison just based on the situation of what that room could potentially look like if it didn't happen.
Yeah, this is a big one. This is a very, very competitive recruiting battle. Georgia, Clemson, Alabama. My goodness, you're recruiting against all the top programs in the country, programs who have put a lot of defensive linemen in the NFL. And ultimately, being a 4-man front, I think was huge. I think that eliminated Georgia pretty early. I think it also was a huge difference maker when weighing Ohio State versus Alabama with their 3-man front. So he wants to be developed as a defensive end. I know people are claiming he can't because he's already 265, 270 pounds. I completely disagree with that. I've seen Edric play in person multiple times. He is flexible. He is powerful. He is athletic. He can beat you with speed. He can beat you with power. Just an unbelievable talent as a pass rusher. I think Jeremiah Smith is probably the best player in the country, but I think you could make a case for Edric to be ranked right at the top of the list because of his position value and his ability, the combination of those two things. But he's tremendous against the run. Look at him. Look at the way he uses his hands there. He basically sheds two guys there to make a stop in the backfield against the run. He is just such a talent. He plays tight end in 7-on-7. Just an enormous physical talent, but also a motor. We watched his spring game last year, just constant effort, making plays 20, 30 yards down the field in some cases, just chasing plays down. Just an absolute, talk about the term game wrecker. He's a game wrecker, and Ohio State has not had enough of these types of guys the last couple of years defensively.
Yeah, I mean, he is, we certainly have seen Ohio State recruit some very talented players on the defensive line, but Edric Houston is as talented of any of them that I can remember in recent years. I mean, we knew what Ohio State was getting kind of with Nick Bosa. I don't know if you necessarily knew with Joey. I don't know if you even necessarily knew with Chase, even though all of these guys were, high 4-star, low 5-star type of guys. I guess there's no such thing really as a low 5-star. Edric Houston comes in with, all of the tools that you want to see. And he's doing it against just tremendous talent in the state of Georgia, playing at Buford. I mean, they go against, the best competition within the state. And he always goes out there and he jumps off the film. I did not have to look very far to find highlights of him through the film coverages and everything else. So, I mean, this is just a huge get for Ohio State.
Yeah, and I know people are still, not going to drop their concerns about defensive line recruiting, but this has to make you feel good. You got to at least enjoy this one today. If Thursday you want to get back on the what is going on with Larry Johnson, how is his future hurting our defensive line recruiting? Please, by all means, on Thursday. But got to enjoy this one today, right? I mean, this is a Raekwon McMillan, a Von Bell, a Chase Young type of thing. I know a lot of those guys committed, specifically Bell and McMillan, committed very late in the process, signing day decisions, things like that. But the way this played out with the late visits, this kind of feels like one of those. And even if you only got the commitment in the summer and not, right now or whatever, I think you still got to enjoy this one. This is huge. I think he plays early. I think he plays next year. I think he plays as a true freshman. Even if Sawyer and JT come back, I think he gets his way in the mix. And if Sawyer and JT leave, I wouldn't peg him as a starter, but I don't think they're going to keep him off the field as a true freshman. I really don't.
No, I mean, and that's the nice thing with the way that they rotate, and maybe they got a little bit away from the rotation last year, but I think some of that just had to deal with the talent on the top end, and maybe guys weren't ready at the cut. Edric Houston's a guy that's going to be able to come in, and I think he's going to take very well to the system and everything else and be able to get out there and see some meaningful minutes. Now, the question is, what will you do with them? I'm not here to bet against him.
Yeah, and again, the body thing, people are talking about, well, he's 265, 270. How's he going to stay at defensive end? Well, he's going to be one of those like 280-pound pass rushers. I mean, it's just what he is. He's going to be one of those freak of nature type of pass rushers who can play at that weight and play outside. But the positive about that is, even someone like Chase Young, who comes in at like, 235 or whatever, Edric doesn't need to put on 30 pounds and he's ready to go physically. I mean, he's about at his playing weight right now. So huge pickup. I think an instant contributor for the Buckeyes. I don't say that about a lot of guys, but I think this is an instant contributor as a true freshman, and one of the best pickups they've landed out of Georgia so far. They've had a ton of great guys in Georgia over the years. I think this is going to follow in those footsteps. So we'll be back here soon, I'm sure, with another capsule, but this is a huge one for Ohio State. So keep it with us, keep it locked in here, youtube.com/Buckeye Huddle all day for our updates as the LOIs roll in, and we'll talk to you soon.